Introduction. A seemingly perfect family, a picture-perfect life. Behind closed doors, however, lay dark secrets, tensions, and the disturbing mind of a man who would destroy his own family in the most horrific way possible. This is the true story of Chris Watts, the father who killed his wife and children in cold blood. Welcome to Velours of the Past, where we uncover the most shocking real-life horror stories. The Watts family. Picture-perfect life? Chris Watts appeared to live the American dream. He was married to Shanann Watts, a lively, outgoing woman deeply involved in social media. Shanann documented every moment of their lives, from vacations to everyday interactions with their two beautiful daughters, Bella and Celeste. On the surface, they were a model family. They lived in a large house in Frederick, Colorado, and Chris worked as an operator for Anadarko Petroleum. Shanann worked in a marketing job, promoting health and wellness products, and was very active online. Through her social media posts, it seemed like she had everything: a loving husband, two beautiful girls, and another baby on the way. Cracks beneath the surface, Chris's affair. But in reality, things were falling apart. In the months leading up to August 2018, Chris had begun an affair with a co-worker named Nicole Kessinger. As Shanann was away for a business trip and expecting their third child, Chris was secretly building a relationship with Nicole. Chris began to distance himself emotionally from Shanann, showing less interest in his wife and children. Shanann sensed something was wrong and started texting friends, expressing concern about Chris's distant behavior and cold attitude. However, she never could have predicted the extent of what was coming. The morning of August 13th, 2018. On August 13th, 2018, everything changed. Shanann arrived home from a business trip around 1:48 a.m. that morning, unaware that it would be the last time she would see her daughters or live to tell about it. At around 5 a.m., Chris claimed he woke up, had a conversation with Shanann, and left for work. He later told investigators that they had argued about their marriage and future. But the truth was far more disturbing. In the early morning hours, Chris Watts strangled his pregnant wife, Shanann, in their bedroom. He then carried her body into his truck and put it in the back seat where his daughters were already waiting. Chris drove with his wife's dead body and his daughters, who were still alive, to an oil field owned by his company. The murders of Bella and Celeste. At the oil field, Chris turned on his daughters. He smothered 3-year-old Celeste with a blanket as 4-year-old Bella watched in horror. Bella's last words, haunting in their innocence, were "Daddy, no," as Chris then took her life as well. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby and stuffed the bodies of Bella and Celeste into large oil tanks. Their small bodies were forced into the openings of the tanks, submerged in crude oil. The idea was chilling and unimaginably cruel. The search for Shanann and the girls. Later that day, Chris sent out a bizarre text message to Shanann's phone, pretending to be concerned about her whereabouts. He even called Shanann's friends and acted worried when they couldn't reach her. Shanann's friend, Nicole Atkinson, was the first to notice something was wrong. After multiple attempts to contact Shanann went unanswered, Nicole called the police to perform a welfare check. When the police arrived at the Watts home, Chris appeared calm but slightly off. He permitted them to search the house. Shanann's phone, purse, and medication were still there. Yet there was no sign of her or the girls. This led to a missing persons report, and the search began. Chris made public appeals for the safe return of his family, seemingly heartbroken over their disappearance. The investigation and confession. As investigators dug deeper, Chris's story began to fall apart. Neighbors provided surveillance footage that showed Chris loading his truck suspiciously early in the morning, and the evidence didn't match his claims. He also failed a polygraph test and the pressure mounted on him to confess. Eventually, Chris broke down during a police interrogation. He admitted to killing Shanann in a fit of rage, but initially blamed her for the death of their daughters, claiming she had killed them after learning of his affair. However, under further questioning, he confessed to killing all three himself. The trial and sentencing. The case shocked the nation. Chris Watts was arrested and charged with the murders of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and the unborn baby, who was going to be named Nico. His trial never went to court, as Chris accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. In exchange, he was sentenced to 5 life terms without the possibility of parole. The courtroom was filled with tears and disbelief as Chris's chilling actions were revealed in full detail. The world watched in horror as a man who seemed to have it all, a family, a home, a stable job, destroyed everything most horrifyingly. Why did he do it? The psychology behind Chris Watts. The question that lingered in everyone's minds was, why? Why would a father kill his wife and children? Psychologists and criminal experts believe that Chris Watts was driven by a need for control and a desire to start a new life with Nicole Kessinger. He wanted to escape the financial troubles and responsibility of his family, and in his mind, murder became the twisted solution. It wasn't a crime of passion or a momentary lapse of reason. It was premeditated and carefully planned. Chris's transformation from family man to murderer was a chilling reminder of how dark the human mind can become. The aftermath. The Watts family home in Frederick remains a chilling reminder of the horrors that took place there. Shanann's friends and family continue to mourn the loss of a vibrant woman and 2 innocent little girls, whose lives were cut short by the man who was supposed to protect them. Chris Watts remains behind bars, where he will spend the rest of his life. The case of Chris Watts is a tragic example of how appearances can be deceiving. The world may have seen a happy family, but beneath the surface lay betrayal, deceit, and unimaginable cruelty. Chris Watts' story continues to haunt those who followed the case, and it serves as a dark reminder that true monsters can hide behind the most familiar faces. Conclusion. This was the story of Chris Watts, the man who destroyed his own family in one of the most shocking crimes of the 21st century. What drives a person to commit such an unthinkable act? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Velours of the Past for more stories of real-life horror and tragedy.